Greetings, mortals, and welcome. Please present your tickets for validation. Thank you. Your existence has been acknowledged, and you have been granted access every Thursday and Friday. You will be accompanying your guides, Krista and Brandy, along with a world-renowned guest. They will be exploring an intriguing tendril of what humans refer to as reality each week, as they strive to advance you further down the path to the truths of your physical earth and what lies on the other side. Remember to please keep your hands and feet in the vehicle at all times, and do not exit until the craft has come to a complete stop.
Hey, hello.
Hey, everybody. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Happy Memorial Day weekend.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah. Even though I have to work, it's okay. All we're having is storms for the next couple days. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. We have some supposed to come tonight and then again on Sunday.
Yeah.
Yep.
Monday's supposed to be good, and I don't think it's supposed to rain until next Friday. So hopefully we get a break.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, everybody needs a break. We need a break from these storms and these tornadoes. Everybody just needs a break.
For sure. Yeah, I'm actually at my son's babysitting my granddaughter, and but the older girls are keeping her occupied. So if I have to black myself out, that's what I'm dealing with. So just an FYI.
If you hear any kind of kid screaming, believe me, it is not a disembodied voice. There is an actual child in the house.
There is. And she's, let's see, she'll be 2 in October. So yeah, she's at that walking stage, and, she's at that cute.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. She's getting so big so quick. Wow.
She is. Yeah. So anyway, he asked me, I'm like, well, how can I say no,
Exactly.
You can't.
No.
You can't.
Get to spend more time with her. Definitely. And Keith from 1675, thank you very much for that.
I know, right off the bat, we weren't even on yet. And I saw that. I was like, geez, Keith.
Thank you very much. We definitely appreciate you and everybody.
Thank you.
Good guy, Keith. Good job.
Yeah. And Brandy, let's just go over our normal stuff that everybody's tired of hearing about. But I feel like if we don't do it,
normal stuff. We got to do it. We got to pay the bills.
Yep, like that kind of stuff right there.
That's right. Alabama Bigfoot Conference. That's going to be June 7th and 8th. It's coming up very quickly. So make sure you get your tickets. They're $30 online, $35 at the door. Friday night, we are having a meet and eat at the Western Sizzlin', which is located in Anniston, Alabama. The room we reserved is full, but don't you worry. The doors will be open, so go grab yourself something to eat. And when you're done, come on in. We're not turning anybody away. On Saturday, of course, is going to be a fun-filled day. I mean, can you imagine all of us together? It's going to be a crazy day. Fabulous speakers. Of course, there is Bigfoot Michigan Rob, Martin Groves, Greg Ogles, Jason McLean, Blondes and Booze, Daryl Denton, Barton Nunnelly, and, of course, Tex as our MC for the day. So get your tickets and get them fast.
Yep.
We're coming up on it. So, yeah. And I will be there.
Awesome. Good deal. Yeah, because we've only done the LBO this year together.
I know. We haven't really done much. Everything that we've had planned has kind of gotten sidetracked.
Right.
Yeah.
Ashmore in spirit.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. I was there in spirit podcast. I was there.
Yeah.
If I didn't know that place like the back of my hand, I'd have been mad. Right. Real mad. I was mad already, but I'd have been real mad.
Well, I figured as we talked earlier, let's talk a little bit about Ashmore and what happened. It was a pretty active night, honestly, and a few things happened. I personally really didn't do a whole lot of investigating myself. I did more podcasts than anything.
Oh, but see, honestly, to tell you the truth, Krista, when everybody was doing their shows, I was investigating. I was literally investigating. I was like, okay, turn here, look here. Can you move here? Can you slow down? Can you back up? Can you do this?
Right.
I mean, I had y'all there to do it for me, so I didn't have to do it. So it's kind of nice.
Exactly.
Sitting in my comfy chair, I was good to go.
So Paul, what did you think of your first ghost time?
I loved it. I wasn't. I mean, it wasn't nasty at all. It wasn't scary at all. I mean, darkness. Walking in darkness was fine, but it was really interesting, and I had a great time. It was fantastic. I enjoyed it. Got some good video that I took. It was everything that I wanted. I was expecting. So
good deal.
Happy with it.
Well, I mean, if you've never ghost hunt before, I do recommend doing these events so you can actually learn from other people and their techniques and stuff that they're doing, and you'll find things that'll work for you, and then you can tackle the bigger stuff because Ashmore is really tame.
Yes.
Compared to other places I've been.
It's a good beginner place to go.
Yeah. Because you do have activity there. There are things there. But it's, the vibe feels very good in there. It's not, it's nothing terrible.
There were a couple times, like down in the boiler room, I would get kind of an eerie feeling every now and then.
Well, Joe's down there, and Joe's not happy.
Yeah. Yeah. But, other than that, every now and then we would get, I did walk through a spider web that wasn't a spider web. Let's see what else I have. I got some cold chills and stuff, but, that was really it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, they say, pay attention to your body. And if you remember right, I told everybody that, pay attention to your body because, you're going to have these instruments all day long, but, your body is your best tool.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I use all the bells and the whistles. I am one of those people, but I have to listen to my body to say, okay, you need to put it over there, or you need to place this here, or, you have to have that ability to know what your surroundings are doing. And you catch better evidence that way. You really do.
Absolutely.
I bet.
So, yeah, it was a good time though that night. And, Paul, you did great. You spoke on UFOs and the crash in Cape Girardeau.
I don't know why, but that incident there just fascinates me.
Mm-hmm.
It does me too.
Yeah,
it does me too because I can't figure out why it didn't get more recognition than what it did. It's kind of like okay, it happened, and that's it. That's all.
It had pretty much the same components to it. The government, they came in and took over. They didn't know what it was at first, but Cape, the thing was split open and you could see inside it, and I just don't get it. Like you said,
I just don't get it. I mean, it had, like you said, all the components to it.
Yeah.
I mean, even like Roswell, it had the components. It just didn't. That story just didn't make it. I guess I have no idea.
Yeah. Unless in 6 years. We just realized that, hey, maybe something is going on.
Maybe.
Who knows?
Maybe.
Who knows?
I just wonder where that evidence is now.
Mm-hmm. Good question.
Some military base near you. You know what I'm saying? That's all I can say about that.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure. But yeah, overall it was a great time, and even Bart got up and talked on the LBL with me, and so that was good. Ended up being pretty good.
And he even got out and walked through the place at night.
He did. He got out and ghost hunted, and actually did the Estes method. I know during your show, and did we do the Estes method during your show, Paul?
No, I don't think so.
No. Okay, so it's just Bart's and BMR's show then. Yeah, but had some really good responses. It was definitely intelligent in there.
Yeah.
And so that was really cool.
As it should be. Should be.
Yeah. So I know, Paul, you got some footage.
I got a lot. I've looked through 4 videos so far that I took. and I only enhanced the audio and cut out some dead spots. I didn't.
Well, there's one video you have to play because I got to. Okay, so let's
Which
back
one's
up.
that?
The one with you and Jennifer, and
In the boiler room, or
the one that made me laugh out loud. Because I think
yeah.
You
When we're
guys
in the wine cellar.
rocked it. Yes, you guys actually rocked it with being first timers. My friend Jennifer from high school was there, first timer for her. So her and Paul did the buddy system that night, and you guys, went out and investigated together. And you guys did great. And Brandy, you gotta listen to this one video because
I'll put that on there.
Yeah.
If I laugh out loud, I'm sorry now.
Yeah.
It was funny. I'll laugh too, and I think I did laugh during the video.
Yeah.
Here, I'll try and find it here. Why? Yeah, here it is.
Pancho says I went to bed too early. Yes, you did.
Yeah, you did, buddy. So the one in the boiler room is like almost 9 minutes. You want me to play that, or you want to hold off on that? That's the one that has the EVP on it.
Brandy, what do you think? You want to play the 9-minute video?
No, let's play a shorter one. Let's
Okay.
play the shorter one.
All right. So the one in the wine cellar is loading right now. So I mean, we were walking around with that bell that we were asking the spirits to hit, and we got a lot of feedback on it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's when you go down, it was kind of down the steps. There was a rocking horse down there, and on the left there was like a little ledge, concrete ledge there, and we'll just put it up there. And
Right.
Well, here we go. What is this from? Like the wine cellar?
Wine cellar, yeah. From there, just outside. Do it outside.
Oh, this? Oh, shit. Let's put it over here. Cocaine. Anybody in here? Can you ring that bell, please? See, all you need to do is do this. Can you ring that bell, please? Thank you. Got that on tape.
Did you?
Mm-hmm. Can you do that again? If you like us being in here, ring that bell. If you want us to leave, see ya.
Okay, bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. We're going.
We're going.
That
We're
just
out.
cracked me up the ending. Okay, thank you. Goodbye.
Okay, thanks, bye. We're out. See ya. Bye.
But I got to give it to you guys. You guys were both brave. Went in there by yourself. It was a creepy area.
Yeah.
You guys did fantastic, both of you.
That was fun. That was fun. And the one of the other ones, we got a couple growls in the boiler room, I guess from Joe.
Mhm.
And then we heard the one growl. There was also at one point there was a disembodied voice that said we're watching.
Mhm.
We didn't hear that during
Yeah.
the thing. So I just heard that when we were when I was listening to it here
Yeah.
with headphones on. So
Yeah. What I found interesting too, one of the rooms, I think it was the room that actually where the Estes method was going on. When I walked in there the first time, there was some people in there and they had one of the ghost boxes.
Mhm.
And it said, I remember her, or I remember you, or something like that. So that was kind of cool.
yeah.
Mhm.
So ghosts don't forget.
Nope.
No, they don't.
And we had a couple things thrown, little rocks in front
You
of
and I
us.
did, Paul. You and I did.
Yeah, during my live, I think it was.
Yes, it was because
Yeah.
you both turned and said somebody threw something at us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And that's happened to me before there. So that's a common occurrence there at Ashmore.
I was kind of hoping that the piano would start playing. We were
You
right
know,
there a couple times and that didn't do
I
it.
have never, ever heard that piano play.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-mm.
Some of the keys didn't work. I was kind of messing around with it. I can't play the piano at all. So I was just kind of hitting keys and stuff and thinking that might trigger them or something. But no, nothing.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I've never heard that piano, not one time.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, me either. So anyway, but that was a fun night.
It was.
It was a great time. And after, things kind of settled down and the public left. And actually, I think it was Terry and Paul and myself, and we started watching the skies.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And there was a little weirdness.
Wasn't there one couple
that
things
was really
blinking
cool.
back at us? Nothing
Yeah.
came close or anything, but a couple
Yeah,
things blinking back at us.
It did. It shined its light at us as Terry, circled it with the laser.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
cool, And then Brandy, I think, I know I talked to you about 2:00 in the morning outside.
Yes, you did. I was still up.
Yep. So anyway, overall, it was a good event. We appreciate everybody coming and supporting us and supporting Ashmore Estates and the whole 9 yards. So thank you to all who came. And our next one's going to be Malvern Manor. And if you guys were at the last one, I don't know if you got a chance to hunt with Josh Hurd or not, but he's awesome and he's a fun one to go hunt with. So he will be there at the next one.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So anyway, let's so I named the show Haunted Tombstone and the People That Never Left. So I think I've never been there, but I would love to go. It's a bucket list for me.
Although something funny about the title that you named this, Haunted Tombstones and the People That Never Left with Paranormal Paul. Nobody left with me.
Now that you say it, okay, my bad.
They never left with you. They never left with you.
Honey, nobody ever left with me. We're fine.
Yeah. That's hilarious.
That was funny.
That's
Freaky
too
brought
funny.
that up. That was hilarious.
That's true. I didn't think of it when I did it. So my bad.
Don't they always say it's all in the punctuation?
Yes.
A comma means so much.
So anyway, I thought, I don't know, Tombstone, just the whole town. There's so many different haunted locations there. And I thought, you know what, that would be a cool show. We can make a whole show of that just because there's so many buildings, so many, actually, like the cemetery is a big one there. That's really haunted. And you know what, let's just talk about that tonight.
Yeah.
Well,
So- So what do you know without doing your research? Before you did, what did you guys know about Tombstone?
I just thought it was a pizza.
You just thought it would be, well, it's the historical showdown at OK Corral. That's basically what I knew. We've all seen the movies.
Right.
That
Tombstone.
there was some truth to it, but a lot of it was fiction. And honestly, I don't know that much. That is just something that I guess I just never.
Mm-hmm.
I never looked at. I heard it went down, but I never realized it was haunted till later on in life. You know what I mean?
Right.
If I thought it was haunted when I was young, it'd be a lot different.
Yeah, and there's so many. A lot of the ghost shows go to Tombstone and to some of the places that we're going to talk about tonight.
Yeah.
So if you watched any of the ghost shows, chances are you've probably seen them. So a big one. Let's just start with the big one that is on all the shows, and it's called the Birdcage Theater. Have you guys heard of that?
Yes.
I was just reading that today.
I have.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot that something like that for me is I like investigating old theaters and stuff. I love that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Because
And I was just saying that would be a pretty cool one to go to.
Yeah.
right. Well,
Yeah.
it brought a lot of joy to people. It was just a big, a happy place to be. So I could imagine that people would hang out and stick there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. So anyway, just a little bit about it here. I'm gonna briefly read some of the highlights of this place, and then we can talk about it. So 26 people actually died at the Birdcage Theater. It was a theater, a saloon, a brothel, and a gambling parlor.
Oh, so there was a lot of happiness and unhappiness.
Talk
Okay.
about your one-stop shop. Jeez.
There
I
you
guess.
go. And it's named for the balcony boxes used by the Painted Ladies, site of the world's longest running poker game, and this is gross, where one woman's heart was chiseled from her chest.
I was eating lunch when I read that.
I know, right? Look at Brandy's face. Like,
You know, I mean, now was she alive when this happened?
well, you know what? We're going to read some about it because there's just a lot
Okay.
that's happened there. Yeah. So it says the grisliest murder at the Birdcage Theater involved two madams. One, Little Gertie, the Gold Dollar, was employed at Crystal Palace, a rival brothel. Margarita was her competing Painted Lady, the Belle of the Birdcage. So basically, you know, Tombstone was kind of, I guess, rough, and it had several of these, what do you call it? Gentlemen's clubs, I guess that we call it.
Yeah, call it that.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Friendly, right?
Well, you know, because they were talking about at one point that there was almost like 100 saloons at the height of the boom. I think it was silver that they had found in that area. I might be wrong, but I think it was silver. And you know, because the founder of actual Tombstone went there in search of, you know, gold, silver, something.
Mhm.
Well, eventually, this is the funny part. Eventually, he ran across his friends. Friends are like, "Why are you going out there? All you're going to find is your own tombstone."
Yeah.
And so when he found silver there and it became very lucrative, he just named the town Tombstone
Huh.
as a little jab at his
Nice.
friends. That's
Right.
how that name came about.
Wow.
So
Interesting.
it
I did not
did.
know that.
Yeah. It's kind of funny. It's kind of a little jab at his friends, going, "Yeah, I'll just name it Tombstone because you said all I'll do is find my own tombstone." I guess I did.
Yeah.
Wow.
Interesting.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about the heart murder. So this is a story.
Yeah.
Okay. In 1882, Billy Milgreen was caught entertaining the tall, dark, and willowy Margarita. Milgreen was
Oh,
a member of Gold Dollar, Margarita's competitor. Some even allege that Milgreen was Gold Dollar's live-in lover. Margarita wasn't afraid of Gold Dollar, despite Gold Dollar's reputation as a gutsy, gritty woman. Perhaps it was because of Gold Dollar's size. Gold Dollar was known as a little Gertie due to her petiteness. Did Margarita underestimate her rival of ill repute? Then it says, Gold Dollar didn't attack Margarita until she crawled into Milgreen's lap. Gold Dollar felt slighted, thinking that Margarita had stolen a tried and true customer, or worse, that Margarita had stolen her man. Grabbing a handful of Margarita's hair, Gold Dollar stabbed her with the double-edged stiletto stashed in her garter. She hacked at Margarita's heart. It was a macabre moment, too morbid for Gold Dollar to stick around. She fled the scene as soon as the marshal arrived.
did they ever catch her?
No.
Oh,
It
I mean,
says,
it's not like they didn't know where she worked and lived.
no. It says no charges were ever filed, and there was no murder weapon found. No evidence, despite escorts, eavesdroppers, and eyewitnesses.
So the customer, or the John, we'll call him the John, he never said who did it.
No.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that Gold Dollar was still his favorite because he wasn't going to tell on her.
Correct. And perhaps maybe he really was her live-in lover.
And if anybody's ever worked in retail, the customer's always right. So
But you've got to think about how much stuff. I mean, maybe not all the way to the extreme of murder, but I mean, you got to think of these women, though. Protecting their turf. And a lot of that probably went on. Well, they did. It was a lawless society until Wyatt Earp came along. So no wonder. I assume that a lot of people died just exactly like that. Fighting amongst one another. Poker games gone bad. Somebody couldn't pay for their night's fun. We're just going to say night's fun, and it's just stuff like that. And being robbed of whatever silver or gold they had in their pockets, and just everything.
Yeah. So they say that she haunts the Birdcage Theater, and which leads me. So number one, she was in the wrong business if she was jealous. Just saying. She's a jealous gal.
Unless the money was good, there is that.
Well, yeah. I don't know. I don't know how it was back. I don't know how it would have been back then, Well,
if he's paying everybody else a nickel and paying her 25 cents, well, she's going to stick with that, She's going to say he pays very well in that time, 25 cents was a lot.
Yeah. So they say that she's a pretty active member there, active person at the Birdcage, and I just find that interesting. But how could she not? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, and that kind of gets me too, because you would think that she'd be protecting her brothel.
Exactly. Yeah. It's weird. So some of the happenings that happened there, I'm going to read you some of this because this is kind of interesting too. So in the 1980s, William Nunnelly conducted a seance at the Birdcage Theater. Nunnelly was a proprietor at the time and hired a prominent psychic medium. She suspected that there was foul play about, likely from the poltergeist inhabiting the structure. During the seance, one spiteful spirit began to strangle William Nunnelly. Attendants were aghast, struck by frightful fits. The violence only ceased once the bustle broke the medium from her trance. William's neck was bruised for 6 weeks after. Who was the strangling specter? Interesting.
Imagine explaining that one. How'd you get that bruise? Spirit got me.
Right.
Yeah.
That's just
I would just walk around like this.
Right.
I have no idea.
It's the middle of summer. Why are you wearing a turtleneck?
Right.
Exactly.
Right. So I don't know. That's just kind of weird, So there's something.
Yeah.
Good spirits don't choke people.
Right. And knowing what we know now, I mean, maybe these people weren't, how should I say, very educated in how to do a seance and things like that. They were just doing them all kind of willy-nilly, and
right.
Things were coming through that not necessarily were associated with Tombstone. You know what I mean? That they could have perhaps let something else through and didn't realize.
Right. So this is a little bit more interesting history. So one private room is exceptionally remarkable. This bordello was reserved for Wyatt Earp, who used it to conduct an affair with Josephine Sarah Marcus. Marcus worked at the Birdcage Theater, making the cubbyhole convenient and covert. So
right. Well, wasn't his wife the one that was was she dying of consumption or had consumption?
Something like that, I think.
It was something like that. That she used she was addicted to the cough syrup. So she had to always have her medicine. I think it was cough syrup or something.
Yeah. So he went went over to the brothel and visited his friend, as we'll call
his
her. His friend.
Well, he did fall in love with her. I mean, it wasn't just to satisfy his needs. He did fall in love with her. Gosh.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
So also, okay, here's some more history. It says a poker room was later established in the basement, witnessing the longest running high rollers game in history. This marathon was allegedly played 24 hours a day for 8 years, 5 months, and 3 days, with a minimum of buy-in of 1,000 stakes were high. Over 10 million exchanged hands throughout the course of the 10 years, with the Birdcage Theater retaining 10%. Notable hands include Doc Holliday, Bat Masterson, Diamond Jim Brady, George Hurst, and Adolphus Busch of the Busch Brewery.
Really?
Hmm?
Wow.
So, I mean, it's had some, like, the who's who back in the day there,
No kidding.
I just can't imagine playing poker for years.
Me either. I mean, but, it's what it is.
That'd be like sitting here podcasting for 24/7 for years,
Yeah, you have to get some sleep sometime,
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, oh gosh. I mean, did they all agree? Okay, everybody lays cards down right here. Everybody takes a bathroom break.
Right? Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
First
isn't
one
it?
back wins.
Well, yeah, because I really don't, because nobody trusted anybody to play cards with
No.
them back in that day, So I wonder how they really did that. Is it kind of like, okay, I'm leaving my friend that I trust with you.
Yeah.
And you leave your friend that you trust with me. And then we'll all just take turns. I don't know.
And then the consequences, if someone cheated in that, I mean, they'd be dead.
Exactly.
I mean, bullet to the head. That's it.
Right.
Yeah.
I just can't imagine that. I can't imagine.
Yeah. I
Oh,
know, right?
I think if I could travel back in time, I would want to go to the Wild West somewhere in Wild West and see that. That would be pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I think I just leave that whole era
I don't
alone.
think so.
I just leave it alone.
Yeah.
Would you?
I think I would, only because of, again, the lawlessness that was going on at the time.
It's a rough area. Rough town.
Yeah. Yeah. The whole West was crazy. So, and then all those people died just trying to get there.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. All right. So that's the Birdcage Theater. Let's talk about, have you guys heard of Boot Hill Graveyard?
I've heard of it. Now, I can't remember who was buried there, but I have heard of it.
So there's a picture on this website that you sent us, and I looked at it really quick. I saw Billy Clanton, and I thought that was Bill Clinton. So that freaked me out for a second. Like, what happened?
Hey, BMR.
Hey.
Hello, everybody.
Surprise guest.
I did not know you guys were on tonight.
Oh, yeah. We are actually talking about Tombstone and different things that's happened there.
Oh, you are Tombstone, like the movie with the OK Corral and all that?
That's it. That's what we're talking about.
I would have to imagine, off the top of my head, a lot of lost, trapped souls, a lot of ghosts,
Yep.
All the people got killed.
Yep. So that's what we're talking about.
That's what I was kind of thinking, because we were talking about that. Of course, it was a lawless area. That's why Wyatt Earp came in. Now, the cattle ranchers were blaming the owners of the businesses, which was Wyatt Earp and all of them, for all the lawlessness, and then they were blaming the cattle ranchers. So it was kind of like, this is where this all came to a spearhead, because they were saying that each other is the culprit.
Right.
So up until they got the marshals in, I can't even imagine how many people have died out there and weren't even recorded that they had died, that they're just buried out there somewhere.
Right. I'm telling you, we're gonna have to take a trip out there. We're gonna have to do a live show from Tombstone.
I will tell you, Brandy makes a good point because, looking back in history, we only hear about the recorded incidents with the popular cowboys, if you will, right? Wyatt Earp, Billy the Kid, Jesse James. I mean, we could name off all the popular ones, but what about those gunfighters and all of these shootouts that took place that aren't even, as Brandy said, recorded in history?
Right.
There's more than the 20 that we all know about,
All right.
Oh, yeah.
But
Well, the OK Corral didn't even happen at the OK Corral. It happened near the OK Corral.
Right.
Kind of.
Yeah.
It wasn't even near it. It was actually in between.
Was it
I
Dodge
think it was
City?
a business and a private residence is where that happened.
Some people say it happened in Dodge City, which is what, Oklahoma?
Dodge City is Kansas.
Okay. Well, there you go. I don't know. I'm not that updated on it, but you know what I find haunting? Billy the Kid. You ever see the portraits of Billy the Kid?
Mm-hmm.
To me, now this is just my thoughts. When you guys have seen lots of haunted pictures, some Billy the Kid photos, man, seem like a ghostly figure, don't they? Seem just not.
He
quite
looks
like
a
the
little
rest.
haunted.
Oh, wow.
Yes, when he was
Yeah.
alive, he looked haunted. But then again, he rode hard and he played hard and he did everything 100%. There was no slacking.
And allegedly, he was in his early 20s when he died.
He was like, like way early, like 2021 or something.
I was going to say 2021.
I was going to say 20 or 21 myself. And a lot of the pictures that you see, some he's very youthful looking, and some, like, again, Brandy was saying, he looks like he was like just an old man.
Yeah, it's 21.
Now again, it's brown. It's it's the black and white stills. They color some of them in with enhancements, which I think it just takes away from the photo. But yeah, he looked like he played and rode hard.
William says he was born in New York. That's why he looked that way.
Yeah, well, there you go.
He just doesn't look like he gave a damn whatever went on. Jeez.
Yeah.
I don't think he did.
No, it doesn't look like it.
Billy, and that's something we can talk about too after we get done with this, is go back on this subject of Billy the Kid, because we won't talk about it right now, but did he really die? Because there's reports of a man who came forward and said he didn't, that he was Billy the Kid. So we can talk about that too. Let's get done with Tombstone, then we'll jump on to Billy.
Well, just don't mind me. I'm just kind of
No, you're good.
We're just talking about the Wild West.
Wild West.
Wild West. I like that song, by the way.
I've got some things. I do have a couple things too. Continue on Tombstone that I want to bring up about Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid too.
Yep.
Which is kind of paranormal.
Okay. Well, hang on. Let's get through what Krista has. Let's get to your story. Well, you're speaking my language.
There we go. Okay.
Paranormal.
Boot Hill Cemetery. So it's actually Boot Hill Graveyard. And some of the key points about it says Boot Hill cemeteries were named after those buried with their boots on. How original, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it interred outlaws from 1878 to 1884. Billy Clanton and Tom and Frank McLaury are buried in Boot Hill. So they are part of the shootout against the Earps. That I do know. And then
they were cattle ranchers. They were the cattle ranchers. Okay, go ahead.
And then it says Tombstone's godfather may haunt the location. So anyway, it says Boot Hill isn't Tombstone's first cemetery, but it's Tombstone's most notorious. Named for those buried with their boots on, Boot Hill entered outlaws from 1878 to 1884. Travelers report spectral shadows, strange lights, and spooky sounds. Okay, so the lights are obviously like things that we see. We've seen, Brandy, with the orbs,
Yeah.
Yeah, and it says that Billy Clanton is the most popular poltergeist, said to rise from his grave each night. He meanders throughout Tombstone, packing his pistol. Tombstone's godfather is another interment. Through her phantom is often referred to as the Lady in Red. That's right. The Godfather is a woman. Other witnesses, unidentified ghost, have unmarked graves.
Wow.
Hmm. Yeah.
You know, I could just picture him just kind of waltzing through town with his gun on his side, just ready to, you know, shoot the next person who looks at him funny.
Right.
Right.
Even as a spirit.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I'm surprised they're even buried in town. Those three, the
Yeah. Well,
Clanton
says-
and the brothers.
right. Well, it says the ghost of Billy Clanton. Some say that Billy Clanton patrols the property before making his way down Allen Street. Clanton was shot dead in the gunfight at the OK Corral, so it's likely that his poltergeist remains near the site of the shootout. He was buried at Boot Hill. However, his specter tends to lurk about in both locations.
Now, back then, after the shootout, would they just dig a grave and just chuck them in there?
With their boots on, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I would think that they would take them to their respective homes. You know what I mean, and be buried on their homestead.
Yeah.
But I guess not.
I don't know though how many of these guys had a homestead. A lot of them were just transient, weren't they? Just went.
Well, these particular three, from if I remember anything in history, yeah, that they were the ranchers, the cattle ranchers, and everything living outside of town that would come in and cause all the ruckus. And the fight was between, you know, the Earp side and their side, because they kept blaming each other for all the problems.
Yeah, and actually, I've got we'll talk about the OK Corral too here.
Mhm.
And Williams says ghost hunters caught a full-bodied apparition of a woman in the music hall.
Oh, I believe that.
Huh.
I believe it 100%.
Now I've got
It could
this
be
stuck in my
that lady
head.
we were talking about.
I've got this stuck in my head now. You know, we've all seen the movie. I'll be your Huckleberry.
Right. I wonder if that apparition is that woman who got her heart taken out in.
Right. Could very well
Yeah.
be.
Carved
Could
out.
be
What was it?
Yeah.
carved out, whatever, chiseled out.
Chiseled out is what
Chiseled
it said.
out, yeah.
Chiseled out.
Mm.
Chiseled, carved.
Yeah.
You know,
so
and even a lot of the cemeteries or grave sites talking about back in the Wild West, there was a lot of unmarked graves of people, cowboys, men, women, children, whomever, who you don't even know who they were, what their background was, where they resided from, or if they got caught in a melee, a gunfight, or if they were a farmer, a businessman. A lot of them, and I often wonder why there were so many unmarked graves. Why wouldn't they put the name of the person that passed away or got killed? You know what I mean? I always
maybe they're
found
just
that to be
I
strange.
do.
Maybe
I
they're
do.
passing through
I
town
do
and they
know.
got killed and they didn't know who they were. The whole family got killed.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. I mean, they didn't carry around identification like we
I mean,
do today.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean
But-
a lot of them were passerbys. You know,
Yeah.
go as I said earlier, go transient, going from town to town on the destination,
right.
San Francisco for gold or whatever.
Mhm.
Yep. Absolutely.
Right.
Okay.
They were talking there was I don't know how they actually got these numbers, but they were talking about at one point there was 29,000 people in Tombstone itself, and Tombstone itself is not that big.
Right.
Honestly,
Yeah.
Right.
it's not big at all. So 29,000 people, that's a lot.
Yeah. It's true. It's
That's
true.
a lot of people.
Yeah, absolutely. There is a lot of people. So let's talk briefly on the OK Corral. So, okay.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. It says the gunfight at the OK Corral. Most are familiar with the gunfight at the OK Corral movie in 1957 and Tombstone in 1993. Yet these feature films are deceiving. The shootout didn't occur at the OK Corral. Wyatt Earp also wasn't a central figure. Instead, Wyatt's brother Virgil may have been the primary gunslinger. Virgil was Tombstone's town marshal and deputy U.S. marshal, giving him more experience as a sheriff, constable, marshal, and soldier in combat. So,
Virgil,
you always hear about Wyatt.
I was going to
That's
say
Wyatt.
something and I can't say.
Okay, say
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. I was just going to say Virgil was a badass. Okay. Anyway, let's move on.
We didn't say that. We didn't say that.
No, I think it was because Virgil's story is not very exciting.
Yeah.
But then you take Wyatt Earp's story and the wife and the
Right.
Yeah. Now you got a story.
Right.
Now you got a story.
Right.
Right.
Virgil just said, "Hey, come help me do this." Da da da. He agreed. Great. But Virgil was very quiet.
Yep.
I think though too.
Loved his family.
I do think that. I think too with Wyatt Earp, he's got the story. But if I recall, he had two brothers. I think it was.
He had a younger brother.
Morgan. There was Virgil, Morgan, and Wyatt.
Morgan.
So Morgan, Virgil.
Morgan.
Okay, here's what I understand though, actually about the brothers. That the two brothers actually were more assertive and wanted to take care of business right away, where Wyatt Earp was more reserved and thought things out, and didn't want to just end it just with gunfighting, right?
So what it says,
aggressive.
Yeah, it says that Tombstone had passed an ordinance on April 19th, 1881, requiring everyone who carried a Bowie knife, dirk, pistol, or rifle to leave their weapons at the livery before entering. The ordinance didn't sit well with the cowboys, who thought that the Earps were badge-toting tyrants. The Earps considered the cowboys the most reckless class of outlaws in that wild country, and definitely worse than the ordinary robber. George Parson, a resident of Tombstone, wrote that the cowboy is a rustler at times, and a rustler is a synonym for a desperado, a bandit, or an outlaw, and a horse thief. The cowboys were lawless. Legitimate cattlemen thought the term as being an insult.
Wow.
Wow.
Well, yeah, that basically just validates what I said.
But then it says here what happened at the OK Corral. So the cowboys continued to the OK Corral, where they discussed their plans to kill Virgil, Morgan, and Wyatt Earp. Witnesses reported these threats to Virgil, who was Tombstone's current city marshal. Virgil already believed that the cowboys had violated the ordinance, so he was eager for a showdown. Their feud had reached the boiling point, an easy feat in the desert heat. So it's already fueling. You know what I'm saying? Like, they've kind of done a FU to the law, basically, from what I understand, So Virgil says, those men have made their threats, and I will not arrest them, but I will kill them on sight. So it says, no one knows why, but the cowboys continued to the narrow lot near C.S. Fly's photography studio. There, the Earps joined Doc Holliday to confront the cowboys. Once Virgil saw the cowboys, he ordered, "Throw up your hands, I want your guns." The cowboys refused to relinquish their weapons, and the legendary gunfight began. It's uncertain who shot first. Accounts are contradictory. Eyewitnesses were also confused by the smoke from the shootout, unable to see through the black powder. Yet 30 shots were fired within 30 seconds. Frank's bullet bruised Doc Holliday's hip, grazing his holster. Virgil Earp was shot through the calf. Both Frank and Billy Clanton were killed. Tom McLaury, too, was killed. Only Wyatt Earp was uninjured.
I mean, it's amazing how you can walk through that and not get injured. They're just walking down the middle of the street. Right?
Yeah, but can you imagine your medical care after that?
Oh gosh.
I mean, I don't know what's worse, going through the whole gunfight, or they're having a doc trying to take a bullet out of you, which you might have survived today, but back then you might not have. You know what I mean? It's just because the infection and
right.
And even and
here, drink some whiskey, it'll be fine.
Yeah, and even like, I'm sure I missed it, when you guys started earlier before I jumped on, it was like Wyatt Earp's wife or girlfriend, I think his wife, they had her on that laudanum drug, much like Doc Holliday was on. And he had a woman caretaker.
Well, the nice way to say is it's consumption. She had consumption. It was basically a drug addict, is what that is.
That was Wyatt Earp's wife. And probably to an extent, Doc Holliday got that way as well. Because he was on the laudanum, I think,
Yeah.
too, after a while.
Yeah,
Because
but didn't he have
he had tuberculosis.
tuberculosis? Yeah, he had tuberculosis, so I could see him
that was
doing
the pain remedy. She was a
Right.
crutch. She was more of a, as you said, an addict. Now it's her crutch. Where Doc Holliday
Yeah.
is the only drug they had for the pain for,
for tuberculosis. I mean, he knew he was dying. I mean, there was no secret to that. He knew he was dying. So I mean, so he drank a lot and he used that drug, which is not a good thing, but it helped him. I mean.
Yeah, well.
Yeah. I mean, to a point, it helped him.
He still was the fastest gun of the West during his day.
That's true.
Whether he was high or not.
Right. So my question is to everybody, do you think that any of their spirits are still in Tombstone?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Could very well be. Could very well be.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Krista brought it up earlier. I would love to go to one of these places for and hang out for a week or a weekend. Tombstone or wherever.
I need a week. There's so many places.
So many.
In Tombstone.
A weekend is just too short. You're getting warmed up.
And Brandy, I might even fly.
At least 5 days.
If it's something that maybe we could do down the road, you might have to get me drunk to get me on a plane again. But I might even do that, and we could go to Tombstone.
We'll have to stop at the airport bar. Like we'll have to get there like 4 hours early.
I will stay alive on air, and you know how I am with the paranormal. I will definitely go to that.
Mm-hmm.
I will go.
Yeah.
All right, Paul. What about you?
I'm there. Just tell me when. Me and BMR can dress up in our cowboy outfits and kind of roam the streets.
I already got a cowboy hat that's bigger than my entire body. Which I would not wear, by the way.
Oh no.
That's funny.
But see, I'm just wondering because the Earp brothers weren't from there, so I'm wondering, would they hang out there after the fact? Because it was such a hard time in their lives.
Yeah. Well, William says there's a boarding house in Tombstone where a spirit always makes friends with any child that comes in. How cool is that?
Oh, wow. That's nice.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
What if that's
that brings up another point. That brings up another point. How many innocent bystanders were killed during, all this mess that was going on?
Yeah.
Because that there were children there. There were accidents. I can't. I don't even want to say it, but that it happened.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
stray bullets, ricochet.
Yeah, absolutely, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And if Wyatt Earp can walk down the middle of the road and not get shot, there's going to be, people getting hit on the side.
Yeah, they weren't as accurate as they are today.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah, I did.
But then again.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Brandy. Go ahead.
All I was going to say is because I have pew-pews, none of them shoot the same. So you kind of have to learn the gun and how it shoots to become more accurate with it. Because they're not just like point and shoot type of deal and you're going to hit a bullseye every time. You're not going to get that. Yeah. You have to learn the gun to figure out if it's off to the left, off to the right, up, down. You have to figure out where it is and then learn hand-eye coordination and figure it out. Then to figure it out. And I guess that's what these guys were doing. Yeah. To become as accurate. Because I'm telling you that the barrels on some of these older guns that I've looked at, they are crazy. It's like a corkscrew going down through them, and I mean, not just a little bit, I mean, a lot. So you're like, how could they shoot the broadside of a barn with one of those? Right.
Right, yeah.
But of course, learning that, I guess that would be true. That would be true. So, I mean, you could pick up somebody else's gun that they dropped and try to shoot somebody else. And it it would just miss because you wouldn't know the gun.
You know,
I don't
yeah,
know.
Brandon,
I don't
that's
know.
great.
So I could see where that happened.
I can see where that happens. I was just about to you bring up something that I've always wondered, even as a little kid. You know, because I do read a lot of these things. I'm really into the Wild Wild West, and they've got these. You know, Smith and Wesson finally came out with that was the Cadillac of guns to have, right?
Mhm.
And you remember how they used to have, it was the ball, you know, it was a pellet like from muskets, and they would have to pack the guns.
Mhm.
And then
Mhm.
Smith and Wesson came up with the
Mhm.
great invention of the 6-shooter, Colt 45, another company, Colt. But
Yeah.
still, you know, and these guys were such awesome gunmen or gunfighters.
Right.
How many times
Right.
did they miss? Because those weapons were not precise. Even
Right.
even Smith
No.
and Wesson
Well,
back in, you know what I mean?
yeah, I do. I do. You know, and there's a thing called muscle memory. Okay, it's when you use a gun the same gun all the time. So you know that as soon as you raise it up where you need to be and how you need to shoot it. It's just like your body already knows. Once you bring it up, shoot. It's like that's how they got very good at what they were doing.
Yeah.
Because you are right. Those guns were not made for accuracy.
And what's amazing
They were just
and you said a great thing, the muscle memory, because I imagine these guys knew their weapons so well that if they were in a gunfight and shooting a man 30 feet away or 20 yards away or however close they are, they probably didn't aim directly at the target. They probably had to have to go up, down, to the right, and they had to determine the velocity and how the bullet was going to curve, go up, down. So it was more of a skill. Not like today's guns, it goes straight as an arrow, right? I mean, you're not going to miss. You don't. If
pretty
you picked
close.
up
Pretty
a gun,
close. Yeah.
if you picked up a gun today, a handgun, and as long as you had a firm grip, you're going to shoot what you hit.
Mhm.
But back then, they had to kind of compromise for the way the bullet left the barrel of the gun.
And if you're in a
Sure.
quick draw situation, I mean, you're just, in the general vicinity of the person you want to shoot.
Yeah.
And, hope you get lucky.
Right.
And
That's
hit
where
them.
muscle
They don't hit
memory
you.
comes in.
Yeah.
That's where muscle memory plays your biggest ally right there, is because you already know, your body already knows where it has to go to hit the mark. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Just like your arm comes up and so, but
Yeah.
that's why back in that day that it was very offensive if you touched another man's guns. You don't touch their guns. You don't even try to pick it up. You don't even look at it unless somebody says, okay, you can. And God forbid you laid somebody, in a fight trying to lay your hand on somebody else's gun, you're dead. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because that is their gun. That is the one they know. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Crazy
Interesting.
stuff, man. So we had mentioned Billy the Kid earlier.
Oh yeah.
Uh-huh.
Billy the Kid. Okay, Rob, here you go. Here's Billy the Kid.
Well, no, I just meant what I know. I know more about Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, but with Billy the Kid, I always just thought that he was a very haunting. I was watching some documentaries of Billy the Kid, and I think I'm not unique to this. I think a lot of people, if you're into this subject, he was spotted at many different ranches, but yet it wasn't Billy the Kid. There were ghosts of Billy the Kid at different ranches, and he wasn't there. People claim he wasn't there, and others say he was. And then the pictures of Billy the Kid that you see, to me, look, of all the Western folklore or all the Western images that we see, Billy the Kid always to me struck me, out of all of them, as just very peculiar and odd. And the thing that I found most strange is how the man seemed to appear and disappear in all these different valleys and towns and not be throughout his brief career, of course, before he finally got killed and gunned down. It just seemed like the man traveled, but he was in and out without a trace.
Right.
And so I just found him very intriguing, a very intriguing soul.
Don't you? He has some traits of a serial killer, honestly.
Well, here now, Billy the Kid. So let me tell you about
Yeah.
the kid here. So he was 22 years old. I did the math. Billy the Kid, born November 23rd, 1859 in New York, New York. He died July 14th, 1881 in Fort Sumter, New Mexico. He was an American outlaw who was one of the most notorious gunfighters of the American West. He claimed to have killed 21 men, but the actual number is less likely than 10.
Wow.
So he got a lot of press.
Yes, he did. He did. And this is interesting. So he kind of had two alter egos. You know, Billy the Kid was one of them, and William H. Bonney. You know, we've all heard that name.
Yeah.
But actually,
Yeah.
his real name was Henry McCarty. I didn't know that.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and I'm
Yeah.
who would be afraid of Henry?
Right. I thought his real name was William H. Bonney.
And really, the name
Oh.
Billy the Kid, that doesn't, the name
That's
just
not-
doesn't strike fear.
Right.
Looking
but
at him does.
You
But,
know, I seriously, I've always thought all these years that his name was William H. Bonney.
yeah.
You know, I didn't know anything about Henry McCarty, so I find that interesting.
That's certainly news to me. I never knew that.
Yeah, and you know, he was killed by Pat Garrett.
Yeah. Now, did he shoot him in the back?
I think you might be thinking of Jesse James.
Okay. Perhaps. Yeah.
Yeah, I know a little bit more about Jesse James only because he's a Missouri guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's from Missouri. Now, back when
He
they
is a
called
Missouri guy.
back when they called it Missouri.
Back when they called it Missouri. There you go.
They still call it Missouri. I don't know where the
Depends on
A
where you
comes
are.
from.
Is that the north? It's probably the
Yeah.
north or south part of the state, I imagine.
Well,
I
it's a
think
Catholic.
No,
Or-
it's all over Missouri
Oh, okay.
thing. You run across different pockets of people who call it Missouri.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. So
Doesn't matter where you're at. I'm like,
Yeah.
Especially
Shade
down
Viking,
highway
real
195.
I'm gonna turn a 360 real quick, and then we can get back onto the American Outlaws. But Shade Viking says Mark Twain house is haunted. I heard. So you know what? Mark Twain house actually is right here by us in Hannibal, Missouri, and I've also heard that. So yeah. Anyway.
Yep.
Mhm.
Hannibal, Missouri.
yeah. I mean, a lot of these famous people, you don't think they're from Missouri. You think of everywhere else. No, Missouri of all
No,
places, Missouri.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Isn't Hannibal like 2 hours from you, Krista?
If that, it's
If
not
that,
even
yeah.
far.
Yeah.
Maybe an hour and a half. It's not far at all from
It's
me.
about 2 hours from me, I think.
Hannibal is by
About an hour
Quincy.
then.
No,
Yeah, okay,
it's way
yeah.
further than that for you, Brandy.
it
Hannibal
is.
by Quincy. That's where Terry lives.
Okay, so yeah, it's going to be a little farther for me. Yeah.
Yes. So we can get on to talking about Jesse James now.
Or
Yes, since you're the in-house expert on Jesse James.
There is no expert, and I'm not an expert on Jesse James, I assure you.
Mhm.
And real quick, yes, Josie Wales is from Missouri. He's actually from, and he is buried in an undisclosed cemetery in Rolla, Missouri. I sold a horse to his great grandson, and that's the only reason I know that.
Wow.
Well, Josie Wales was responsible for the Missouri boat ride.
Mm-hmm.
I think y'all probably know that one, though.
Yeah. So anyway, the Jesse James, his house was in Kearney, Missouri, and it's north of Kansas City, and it's just a small little two room house, I guess. But back in the day, that's all they had. You know what I'm saying? And it's haunted. They do not do ghost tours out of there. However, I almost had the hookup from there. Almost. So the lady that used to run the Ray County Museum, her name was Linda. She passed away. But before she passed away, she was going to get us into, she was friends with the curator at the Jesse James Museum. Unfortunately, Linda passed away. However, I met this lady at Linda's funeral, and we kind of chit-chatted about it a little bit. And I know she and Kathy are friends, so maybe it's still a possibility, but I would love to just even get on the property because, Jesse had a brother that was killed there on the property, and you know, they say it's haunted.
I don't know. I'd love to get in there.
Yeah,
I would
know,
love
me
to
too.
get in there
Yeah.
and see if there's any attachments or anything to any of the stuff at the museum. That would be awesome.
Yeah,
And he had a
So-
hideout in Merrimack Caverns, didn't he?
he did. Yeah, and that's a really big, you know, cavern here,
Yeah.
just outside of St. Louis. So yeah, he was also part of a pro-Confederate group during the Civil War. So like the burning of Lawrence, Kansas, Jesse James was partook in that as well.
Now was
I do
Jesse
know only from Civil War reenactments that I've done.
and I'm always confused. You know, we were talking about Billy the Kid earlier, and now Jesse
Mhm.
James. But they were like just, you know, Brandy. You mentioned that Billy the Kid was a serial killer. Now, and I don't want to go back to Billy the Kid just briefly. It was Billy the Kid, Jesse James. They weren't just they didn't kill people for fun, did they? Or am I wrong?
Well,
I'm wondering if they were picking fights for fun.
so
I can
the
see
crowd,
picking
let me
fights
tell
for
you,
fun.
the
Yeah.
crowd that Jesse James rode with during the Civil War, they were not nice guys
No.
at all. At all. So, you know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm saying.
maybe, you know, maybe
I
they're
bet you they
picking,
pick fights just to.
Yeah, they're probably picking fights because they know that they can. They want to have a gunfight. So in their
Yeah.
peculiar way, they're egging you on because they basically do want to kill you, which is kind of
A
sadistic.
serial killer kind of thing.
Kind of thing. Yeah.
Well, he was part
Yeah.
of the James Younger gang. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
and he also now this is a big thing. He rode with the Quantrells. The Quantrells are the ones that was in with the burning of Lawrence, Kansas, and that was a big ordeal. And do you know this? The town of Lawrence, Kansas, is still pissed off about that. They still talk about that. That is a sore subject in that town.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, and how many?
Mhm.
That's a long time ago.
Mm.
You know. So anyway, he was part of Quantrell's Raiders. And William Quantrell, he led them, and they, you know, were part of the Civil War, and that's, you know, they were bushwhackers, they were the guerrillas, and they weren't very good guys.
Okay.
No, I didn't. I couldn't imagine them being like Robin Hood. You know what I mean?
No, there's nothing Robin Hood about them. They were bad dudes.
Nope.
Well, there's
Yeah.
also speculation.
They had one
that-
mission.
Mhm.
And there's
Yeah.
also speculation now about Robin Hood that just came out.
About who?
Robin Hood.
Robin Hood.
That's another.
Really?
That's the subject for another time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
exactly was he stealing from the rich to feed the poor. That was his. That wasn't his objective in the beginning. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
Huh.
That'd be a cool topic for a show. It's
Yeah.
pretty interesting.
Well, also Jesse James, he also rode with Bloody Bill Anderson.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. Okay. I couldn't remember his name. There you go. Yeah.
So Bloody Bill
Okay.
Anderson actually has like there's a huge figure of Bloody Bill Anderson at the Ray County Museum, along with the Quantrell Raiders. There's a whole room dedicated to all of them in there. And there is a picture in there of Jesse James's death pictures.
Again, back to the pictures of dead people, taking pictures of dead
Yep.
people.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
And
I never
and did-
understood that.
Yeah, and they propped up all these gunfighters, whether popular or not popular. They posed them as they were the dead body,
Right.
you know, with
Yeah.
the gun in the hand, you know, with the wife, the
Yep.
kid, or whatever was going on at that time, right? Which I always
Yeah, I
find
mean,
haunting. Didn't you guys do a show of that on that? We talking
Yeah.
like last
Yeah, we
week?
talked about that before, and I
Yeah, you know.
still can't grasp the fact that they would take a family photo with a dead family member.
Yeah, and there's people in today's 2024 that do that. And I'm not talking about the casket picture, which people still do, I guess, propping up the body of Grandpa in his favorite chair with the grandkids in
No.
2024. Come on.
Nope.
No.
Nope.
Not for me.
No.
No.
I mean, can you imagine
No.
what that would do to children today?
Yeah.
I mean, back in the day, that was just common thing to do. If a family member passes, you get together, you do your family photo, and that's the last thing you have of them.
Right. Right.
So I'm picturing in my head, instead of having the person in the casket when they're dead, when laying out like that, prop them in the corner in a chair. Just sit in the chair with a coffee cup in their hand, and come on, sit on
Right.
Grandpa's lap or whatever. One last time.
Oh, come on.
It's kind of like that old country song, "Prop Me Up Beside the Jukebox When I Die."
Yeah.
There you
That
go.
one. Put a beer in his hand. No.
I'd much rather see a shadow person standing at the jukebox
I just no.
than Grandpa's dead body.
No. I can't. Something about, it's like people say that when they never looked at a camera, like they'd get their picture taken, but they'd never look directly at the camera because the camera's supposed to steal their soul when they put it in the picture, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It actually looks like they've stole their soul in those pictures.
True story.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. It
I
does.
just couldn't imagine doing that. I mean, the kids today would be mortified. They'd be so terrified. You'd never get those pictures, And then children back in that day, they're like,
Yeah.
all right,
Mm-hmm.
here we are. Let's take a picture.
Right.
I don't know. I guess we must have become very soft as the generations moved on,
A little bit.
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah, but I guess.
I just think that's a little hardcore to, prop your loved one up, take a picture.
Maybe they just did not know any better back then.
No.
I don't know. I can't.
I don't know. It was just maybe a culture thing. I don't know. Maybe it was just part of culture back then. I don't know what to say about it because that just freaks me out.
I was just reading that.
Yeah. I couldn't imagine. Could absolutely not imagine. I don't know. There's just a lot of weirdness, a lot of cool places that honestly that I want to visit. A lot of history. I'm all about the history, and there's there's so many places that have so much history, and that a lot of these places are haunted.
Yeah.
But Krista, that brings us back to the question, though, that we always say. Now, places like the OK Corral and all the places around there, we know that there's such a thing as overhunting.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
We know. Do you think that maybe this might be one of those places because of its historical background?
Could be.
I mean, all of
a lot of these places, we call it, they get overhunted is basically what happens. Is the people go in there and they just keep going and going and going to where the point where the spirits that still reside there just stop talking. They just stop doing anything.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe they do. And well before I was involved with any of this paranormal stuff and that, I remember I was kind of, I'm just reflecting back when I paid a visit to the Alamo.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking back at the Alamo, where we know how many people died there. And I'm thinking what I know today, walking through the Alamo, I'm going back now in my mind, walking through it, how it was nothing but to me, it was kind of gross because it was just a tourist attraction. They weren't celebrating the history of what happened there. It was just more sell you this and sell you that. And I'm just wondering, you would think that would be a haunted place. But what I'm recalling from memory, that was so commercialized that I'll bet you that you probably couldn't get any activity there.
Yeah.
I don't know
It's
if you guys
possible.
have been to the Alamo or not, but it was.
Yeah, I've been to the Alamo.
It was
Yeah.
like it wasn't like a carnival. I mean, I thought that's what I'm remembering. Brandy, I don't know. It just seemed like a money making.
It's so commercialized.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, the thing's falling apart. The Alamo, ladies and gentlemen, is falling apart. They cannot preserve it and keep its integrity.
Yeah.
So I guess they're at an impasse right now of what they're going to do because it is crumbling.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just kind of like when I went in there, you know, they've got all this stuff blocked off and that, you know, you can't go here, you can't go there, and don't touch this and don't touch that. And it's just kind of like what everybody wants to do is they want to physically touch a piece of history.
Mhm.
Yeah.
They just want to touch it.
Well, Ozzy Osbourne peed there, and he was banned from the Alamo, which is very disrespectful. Gotta say,
I
like
was
Ozzy
getting ready to
Osbourne.
say, well, maybe
And Ozzy-
you should have been.
Well, and
You should
Ozzy
have been.
it's probably not the only place
Yeah.
Ozzy peed at either. We probably was banned from.
Right.
probably not, but you know, I mean, it is.
I would not take a pee at the Alamo myself.
No, and I'm a fan of Ozzy. However, I don't agree with what he did there.
No,
at
I
all.
wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of Ozzy just because he got arrested, and in his arrest photo, he had a St. Louis Blues jersey on. And I
Oh,
think
there
that's
you go.
That's freaking cool.
But
I
I
was
mean,
always
the-
amazed with Ozzy because I don't understand when he talks, but I can certainly understand when he sings. Go figure that one out.
Yeah.
And Davy Crockett. Here's another one. Davy Crockett.
King of the Wild
And
Country.
TN Ridge Runner 2 says my 5 times
Wow.
great grandfather Davy Crockett
Yeah.
died at the Alamo.
Yes,
Whoa.
he did.
And of course, TA Ridge Runner.
That is cool.
That is very
Yeah.
cool. And of course, and you know that Davy Crockett, Ridge Runner, did have an encounter with an alleged Bigfoot.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yep.
I've heard
And
that.
so did, and as well as Daniel Boone.
Yes, Daniel.
There's
Boone.
another show.
Yeah.
There's another show.
Yeah, there is another show,
Gosh, we just came up with 5
Exactly.
shows in like 20 minutes.
right?
Yeah, I
Well, here's
just, you know,
another
I-
show for us, and I'm going to throw this out there. I want to get this in before we have, Butch Cassidy, the Sundance Kid. I'm mesmerized. First of all, I saw the movie with Robert Redford and the other guy, Paul Newman, the dressing guy, salad dressing guy, right?
Yeah,
But
In the
anyway,
zone, yeah.
I love that. Loved it.
spaghetti sauce too. He does.
Mhm.
Yeah, well, yeah. And there's a guy making money in the grave, right? So his family, anyways. So, and I read this, and after I saw this, when I got a little bit older, I started researching this. And you know how the movie ended? They're in South America with 1 million banditos, Mexican army or whatever, Brazilian army coming down on them. And how at the end of the movie, it's just the two of them leave that little underground bunker they had and they start firing shots. And then that's how the movie ends. And it leaves you wondering, as a movie fan, what happened to these guys?
Hmm.
Well, here's a cool thing. Their bodies have never been found.
Wow.
Butch
Oh,
Cassidy? Really?
Butch
Wow.
Cassidy was a Sundance Kid. Yep. Never been found. Can never found the bodies.
Interesting.
And they took on an army. Okay. Now, they didn't kill all of them, but their bodies never been recovered, you guys. Nothing. Makes you wonder about that.
It does.
yeah. I mean, it could have gone either way. They could
You
have
figured
made it out of there, or they just
Yeah.
didn't.
I mean, maybe they have a tunnel that they escaped through there because their bunker was kind of underground and stuff.
Hmm.
Mhm.
And I don't think that they tunneled. I don't think they spent their lifetime there because they spent several years there. I don't think they built a tunnel. I don't think maybe they paid because they had so much money when they
Caves.
got there that maybe they hired people to make an escape route. But they escaped to Brazil to get away from this, and then they found out they were worth so much money that the army come down upon them, right, to collect that reward. And they opened fire. They came out blasting, as they say. Bodies never recovered.
Wow.
That's a mystery. Yep.
Wow.
Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, the real
Yeah.
story with
You
Beyond.
know, I mean,
Yeah,
there's
well, hey.
that. That could've-
Hey,
that
there's a
could've
late
gone-
night show one night.
That's another one. Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, we're doing
I
a
mean,
late
that-
show Saturday on the puck on the Little People.
a little
Let
bit.
you guys know if you guys that were tuning Saturday night. I think I'll do that if you guys want to come on. Come on.
Yep. Of course, I'll be there.
Yeah. Tomorrow night, we're talking about the little people on Bigfoot, Michigan Rock.
I did that
There you
Tune
story.
in.
Yeah, people love it, man. It's like 800 views. That's quite a bit of views for me for just a story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So,
Awesome.
Right.
Yeah. So
That's
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tomorrow night is you can catch Paranormal Paul
Yep.
and myself at 7 p.m. Central.
Mhm.
Then I believe Josh goes live on Rumble right around 8 o'clock. And
Yeah.
then at 11 p.m. Central, BMR and I'll be there. I know.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
Yeah, let's talk about the little people. Yeah. I don't know.
that's cool.
I-
That's a good
Saturdays
story.
are marathon nights.
It
Yeah,
is.
it is.
Yeah.
It is.
it is.
I'm just thinking back to our subject.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that spirits are actually everywhere.
Mhm.
Oh yeah. Agreed.
And I think that it's up to them whether they want to communicate or not.
Mhm.
And, and some of these, like the OK Corral, it has got to be like just overrun. That for me, there's got to be so many spirits that are just there because they didn't know anything else. That's all they knew. So I'm thinking that it's just there.
And like we said before, like with all the excitement with the brothels and the casinos and whatever, there's just like so much happiness, sorrow, and all kinds of stuff that.
Well,
it's-
you got to remember how much blood is probably in that ground too.
Oh,
I mean,
for sure.
right
Well,
down the middle of that road, I'm sure.
It can have its own little curse. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
and
So,
you do know that blood, human bodily fluids, even they've proven this from 200 years ago, 100 years ago, that DNA it seeps into Mother Earth, and it doesn't like it might be 0.001%, but it's there still somewhere.
it's still
right?
there.
Yes.
Well, yeah.
So
Yeah,
Ozzy
absolutely.
Osbourne will forever be at the Alamo.
Yes. Well, you also got to consider these the cadaver dogs can hit on a body that has been buried for decades.
Yeah.
Well, look
You
at
know.
Ashmore Estates, the one that Jack Osborne just did. I don't know if any of
Right.
you have seen that. That's actually on it was on Discovery Channel or Discovery Plus, and it was Jack Osborne's Night of Terror or something like that. It's one of those
Yeah.
episodes, and
Yeah.
he investigates Ashmore Estates, and they actually it was 3 cadaver dogs that came out there to the property because it's been said that there's bodies buried behind Ashmore Estates. Well, all 3 of the dogs at different times did their cue that there was bodies underneath this tree, and we were hanging out at the tree. Do you remember that, Paul? We
Yep.
hung out at the tree.
Yeah, and Pancho had his dog by that tree, and I mean, it's not a cadaver dog, but he didn't do anything there; just kind of ran
Yeah.
around. And,
But
yeah,
like you
But
said, Rob, like you said, the DNA, say in this particular tree, is mixed with human DNA. So it still stays and thrives within that tree.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And
Mhm.
another theory that I had and I talked about quite a bit is with the forest. The forest, you've got the living trees for hundreds of years. They have their branches, and the branches go. I was reading somewhere that if there's a tree's 100 feet tall, the branches go out triple. The roots are 3 times the size of the tree. So can you just imagine how they intertwine with all the other root systems, and how much of this DNA is captured? So you can see it's all still there. It's it's bred life from the living trees, right? I mean, I'm no scientist, but it just makes sense to me that it would be preserved. You know what I mean?
Well, they've got this scientific study going on now that they think that there could be patches that are like linked together with their roots and everything.
Yep.
And they're showing results where, like, if one tree down the line needs water, then the roots will start passing that nutrients all the way down to the tree that needs it. It's very weird, but they're doing scientific studies on it now. It's very interesting.
It is interesting, and again, and I came up with that. I started researching that not too long ago. Well, maybe a couple of years ago, because on my property, my driveway was being uprooted, and I had to get a piece of the concrete replaced in the driveway because roots were pushing up a parcel of the concrete. Well, on my property, there's not a tree on the front, and there next to me there's an open 100 by 100. Nothing's there. It's just grass, and it's nothing's
right
there. And then there's a house, and then another like 90 feet down, there's a house with a big 80-foot tree. But this is like way away from my house. So I asked these tree trimmers why, or the people doing the concrete, that, what, it was roots from the tree that was like 200 yards away, or 200 feet away. That's how expansive and powerful the roots are. So that's when I started getting this idea about how the forest is an internet of living and breathing things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's why I believe in the elementals and all that, because they all.
Oh yeah.
The forest is an energy source for all these things, and I believe that it preserves the DNA. I bet you if you shoot a deer and it bleeds out in a forest, their blood DNA is in the ground. It absorbs, but it doesn't go away.
It absorbs into the plants and
and breathes life back into the plants with their blood.
Yeah, it's pretty cool stuff.
Oh yeah, very interesting. Very interesting.
Just imagine
There's
all the
another
stories
show.
that they could tell. Yeah.
It's another show.
Stories from the forest.
Right.
Yes.
This has been a fun show, guys.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I'm glad it popped on.
Yeah, I'm glad you did too.
I forgot you guys are on Friday night.
Forgot we're on Friday night.
Well, thanks, Rob. We appreciate you coming on, and Paul, we thank you for coming
advertise
on.
you every time I'm on. By the way, enough said there.
Right.
And during all my shows, by the way, and you guys do the same for me. I know.
Yes.
Yeah, I just want to let everybody know out there. Keep your eyes open. Now, I can't guarantee how soon this will happen, but if we can get out there to the OK Corral, I guess this group of four is going out to the OK Corral.
Yeah.
Summer of 25?
We could plan that.
We shall see. Yeah.
Yep. We could definitely plan that.
I don't really want to go out there in the summertime. It's going to be roasting. Maybe fall.
Oh yeah. Fall.
Maybe spring.
October.
Maybe anytime, but
yeah.
August. It's going to be a little warm out there.
Yeah.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
Or it could be, OK Corral. Well, I missed some of the show, but whatever is, we should research a couple spots and see what's the best alternative, I guess.
Yeah.
Or we'll just tell everybody, hey, we're going to be there. Come out there, get your own room, plane ticket, whatever. We'll just all be tourists and take all the tours. The whole bunch of people.
There we go.
A whole week of live shows from Tombstone.
Yeah, exactly. Can you imagine
haunted locations to do that at?
Yeah. Can you imagine our subscribers? Everybody's going out. We're all going. We're going to be the tourists. Everybody, here we go.
That would be fun.
Here's the itinerary. Meet you there.
Right. Now this has been fun. I love American history, and it's been a good time. We appreciate everybody with us and your feedback and things in chat too, because I learned some things from you all tonight as well. So definitely thank each and every one of you. Keith, thank you from 1675.
He lives in Michigan. He subscribes to all of us now. Oakland County,
Michigan.
Awesome. Keith is awesome.
Yep.
So I know Josh will be coming on tonight, Paranormal Roundtable, their usual Friday nights. Tune in over there. Tomorrow evening, 7 p.m. Central, Paranormal Paul. Who's the guest?
Stephanie O'Reilly from the McIntyre Villa.
From McIntyre Villa.
Oh,
And
okay.
Yep.
Yep. And then tomorrow night at, I believe it's 8 p.m. Central, Josh PRT goes on Rumble. And then at 11 p.m. Central, Midnight in the East,
We'll be live.
is BMR.
Yeah,
and,
that's
and,
right.
and I know I'll be there, and whoever else shows up, right?
Yeah,
Right.
I'm gonna
So
see.
we'll be going live.
We'll be going live.
Yes. So it'll be fun, guys. So,
Yep.
yeah, I know I'll see everybody tomorrow. So,
Yeah.
And
One way or the
for
other.
Blondes and Booze, we'll see you next Thursday at 8 p.m. Central.
Yep.
And on Fridays at 7 p.m. Central. So until then, bye, everybody.
good night, everybody. Good
Good night.
night.